Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone, how's it going? Hope you're well. So it's Ashraf Khalifa, the founder and creator of Sudanpreneur. I know this is like a couple of days overdue, but I got a little bit busy. So unfortunately I had to delay it a little bit. But now I'm a little bit free. So I decided to do the podcast series. So let me just put the title in the comments and then pin it. So basically this week's episode is I don't mean to be like all big-headed and arrogant, but I decided just to do it on myself. Salam, everyone. Hussein, how's it going? مشتاقين يا حسين زمن طويل ان شاء الله كويس. So the first thing I thought I'd do, so basically I don't know if you guys have been on my website, which at the moment is sudanpreneur.wordpress.com. So basically it's got a collection of like what I call Sudanpreneurs, so they're like successful Sudanese people, and my platform is all about showcasing the good of Sudan, which is North Sudan, South Sudan, East Sudan, West Sudan. So Salam Adam, how's it going? Inshallah Quays. So I've got maybe about 200 plus people, and then I started this project. It's actually my 10-year anniversary, so I've started this project in 2013, and then after a couple of years, so around about 2016 I decided to that's good to hear. I'm happy to hear that. Assalamu alaikum, Nubian Square. Shout out to you guys, doing some amazing work. So I started doing written interview questions. So I sent the same, I think around 10 questions to everyone. And then obviously, I don't really think it's fair for you to ask someone to do something that you're not willing to do. So I decided to answer the questions myself. So I could start off by reading the answers to the questions, and then maybe talk about stuff that, bearing in mind the interview is actually written in 2016, so it's quite a few years old. And then going through maybe some of the newer stuff that happened in the last couple of years, and then update you, and then open the floor to questions if you guys have any questions you want to ask me. All right, give me 1 second. Let me just load it up. All right, so it's an interview with Ashraf Khalifa. All right, so the first question is, tell us a bit about yourself. So my name is Ashraf Mohammed Najib Khalifa Mahjoub. So at the time, I was 27 years old. Now I'm actually 34. So I was born in Liverpool. I support Manchester United, and I'm from Mulazmin in Omdurman in Sudan. Right, the second. So my answer was, due to the nature of my father's job, we constantly moved countries when I was growing up. I actually went to 8 different schools in 5 different countries. So the first school I went to was the British school in Indonesia when I was 4 or 5 years old. So I don't remember it too well. And then we moved to Kenya when I was 5. And I went to the International School of Kenya, ISK. Shout out to ISK. And I was there for 5 years. I stayed until grade 4. And I have some good memories. And then in 1999, my family and we moved to Jordan. So me and my brother, we went to a British school called the International Community School for 3 years. And then we switched to ABS, which is Aman Baccalaureate School, which is the IB system. And then, so after that, when I was 15, we went on holiday to Sudan. And then those holidays that become permanent holidays. So at the time, there was 2 international schools. So there was Unity, and then there was the Khartoum American School. So basically, because of the year I moved, if I wanted to do the IG system or GCSE, then I would have had to go back a year. I didn't really want to do that, so I switched to the American system. And then at that time also, like KICS, which is Khartoum International Community School, like wasn't around. So this was in the year 2004, right? So yeah, I spent 2 amazing years at CAS, and I had in my second year I had two of the best teachers I've ever had, which is Miss Komisari and her husband Mr. Wall, and then also shout out to Miss Ramsey and to Miss May Fadl as well. So I think those four teachers like that had some of the biggest impact on me, especially because it was like from grade 10 to 11. And then also like in terms of Sudan, that was actually like the good years because, you know, like the peace deal had just been signed, like the oil money was flowing, they were building roads. Like I remember at that time, like 2004, 2005, 2006, like that's when they built Sharia Sittin, and you know, it was just some fun times. And then obviously, you know, I'm an Umdurman boy, so I was living in Mulazmin at the time and going to school in Kas, which is like, you know, quite far away. But I learned a lot about Sudan. I learned about Masalat and, you know, Hinai, Mogif Jackson and Mogif Stad, and, you know, it was fun times. And then basically after 11th grade, so due to like some family like circumstances, I was forced to come here to England. And then, so I came here again. I had like 1 year left, or I could have went to a British school and, you know, had to like go back a year to do my A-levels. But I ended up going to the American school in London and I graduated. Okay. So the next question is, how many brothers and sisters did you have, and how did this impact and affect you? So I have one older sister who is 1.5 years older than me, and one younger brother who's like 1.5 years younger than me. So my sister's 1.5 years older and my brother's 1.5 years younger. So as the middle child, but also I'm the oldest son, so that alone like has its own pressures and responsibility. And then as the middle child, I always like was the peacemaker in the house. And then like, to be honest, it actually suits my personality. You know, I have a go with the flow attitude. I don't like to rock the boat. And then I have quite a good relationship with everyone in my family. And then also, I guess being a middle child has played like a pivotal role in shaping me. I'm outgoing, social, creative, but I don't like confrontation too much. I'm like a people pleaser, and I connect with people quite easily. The next question is, where did you go to university? What did you study? And why? So I went to University of Surrey in the United Kingdom from September 2007. And then I graduated in 2010 with a bachelor's in technology entrepreneurship. Initially, I wasn't sure what I wanted to study or where. And then my father, he wasn't a big fan of, you know, America or going to American unis, even though I was in American school. So to be honest, I didn't really apply to America, but I did apply to the American universities of Beirut and Cairo and Dubai and Paris and Sharjah and Rome. And then I also applied through the UCAS system here in the UK for like British universities. And then when I applied for UK, it was weird because, you know, I was taking AP classes, but they don't really count the AP classes, you know, they only look at A-levels. So it was a bit hard to get into. But yeah, I'm not going to read the whole interview because, you know, I decided to write a lot, but I'll paraphrase it. So basically, once my results came out, I got this offer from this course at the University of Surrey called Technology Entrepreneurship. And, you know, it was quite exciting after I read up on the course. And then I applied and, like, processed my application and managed to get in. All right, so the next question is, what do you feel is your greatest achievement to date? So just for the new people that just joined, just to remind you guys, so I wrote this interview in 2016, so this is like a long time ago. I recently attended a short Set Up Your Own Business course, and there was a guest motivational speaker that came in to speak to us. He told us, in most of the things you do in life, success is very hard to define and measure. Teaching, social work, politics, how do you know whether you're doing well or not, whether you're successful or not? But in business, it's very easy to see whether you're successful. If you're making money, you're successful. The more money you make, the more successful you are. If I judged my life on that criteria, then I would be a big fat failure. So far, I haven't made any money from Sudan Hub or Sudanpreneur. So that is a very difficult question. I've had a very interesting life, you know. I traveled a lot, and I've also had a lot of different jobs. I met different people, and I've had a lot of adventures and experiences, right? I've never been motivated by money and profit, but I've always had a passion for entrepreneurship and innovation. I've been involved in many projects, helping out family, cousins, and friends to set up their own projects, their own dreams, passions, and businesses, as well as setting up numerous of my own projects, dreams, passions, and businesses. I feel like Sudan Hub is an amazing accomplishment. Unfortunately, it is a bit too far ahead of its time, and it seems to me that people either are just not ready for it or don't understand it. But maybe one day, which I might not live to see it, we will receive the appreciation and the understanding it deserves. So I would have to say that Sudanpreneur ranks as my greatest achievement. From the beginning, I've been blown away by the support as well as how it has been received. I hope I've been able to both inspire people as well as open their eyes to achieve their dreams. But most importantly, I hope I've made people feel more proud to be Sudanese. The one thing I do want to say is feedback is very important. So please let me know your thoughts, your feelings, suggestions on how I can improve. Even just a thank you or a compliment or a hug. And the next question is, what does being Sudanese mean to you? All right. I'm very proud to be Sudanese. For me, having traveled a lot growing up, it was important for me to have an identity to call my own. I used to go to Sudan pretty much every holiday, but at the same time, I created both Sudan Hub and Sudanpreneur to explore and research and to discover what it means to be Sudanese. And now, 5 years later, I still don't know. Being Sudanese is the most confusing thing in the world. There are a lot of bad things in our culture that we need to eradicate, but at the same time, it seems to have defined the Sudanism. And I find this true no matter where we go. I refer to the gossip, the judging, the inta wal adminu, the qati'a, the hasada, the racism, which can be direct or indirect, the way that we like to avoid each other, the way that we don't support each other's businesses, but instead talk bad, the way we don't celebrate our success, and it's always uqbal al-jaya, the fact that we don't want to acknowledge the evil and horrible history of our nation, the confusion of are we Arab or African, our love of falsafa, our inability to actually answer a question instead of going on a rant or a tangent during nadwas or forums or discussions. I could go on, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. There are also good things about being Sudanese. The way we genuinely will go out of our way to help someone in need with financial reward, the last thing on our mind, our amazing sense of hospitality, our generosity. But at the same time, are these only really Sudanese characteristics, or is it African culture, or is it Arab culture? I don't know what being Sudanese means, but what I do know is that our country is so big, so diverse, so many tribes, so many languages, so many terrains, so many traditions. What being Sudanese means to me is the Sudan I grew up visiting. The Sudan I was proud to say was the biggest country in Africa. Now, I haven't been back to Sudan since November 2010, since before the separation. So that is the Sudan that I know. And that is what being Sudanese means to me. Unity, diversity, and prosperity. The next question is, what do you rate a success and how do you define it? I would say success is how much of an impact you have on the world, as well as overcoming adversity. Success brings with it responsibility. Success brings with it change, whether it's changing the way a particular business is done or changing people's perception of you. The difference between a good businessman and a successful one is that one is focused on profit and money, while the other one is focused on change, innovation, continuous improvement, and the impact his work has. I know I haven't explained it very well, but I hope you get the point I'm trying to make. The next question is, who would you say is the most influential Sudanese? I would struggle to just pick one, so I'm going to cheat a little bit and pick four. In this category, I've taken it into account on the Sudanese, and they are in no particular order. So the first one is John Garang, a man like no other, a man who had a dream and a vision which would have created a new Sudan, a better Sudan. All right. The next one is Abdurrahman al-Mahdi, a visionary and forward thinker, the man who did the most to help us achieve our dream of independence. And then the next one is sort of a two-in-one because it's a father and son. So I chose Sheikh Babakir Bidri and Yusuf Babakir Bidri. So they're both pioneers and visionaries, the men who single-handedly changed the fate of Sudanese girl and women forever. All right. The next question is, who would you say is the most successful? So again, I would struggle to just pick one, so I decided to pick two. All right. And then in terms of this, I put in terms of success on a global scale. So I chose the first one is Zainab Badawi, and it's self-explanatory, but I put down the media queen herself. And then the second one is Mo Ibrahim. So he's the telecoms entrepreneur. So he's the man who changed how we communicate with each other, as well as his amazing efforts and determination with his foundation to tackle corruption and encourage transparency and good governance. And then finally, the last question is what is your favorite quote? So it's a quote I said earlier in one of the questions I answered. So it's, the businessman chases money while the entrepreneur chases success, because he knows money follows success. And then in terms of anything else I wanted to add, I put down, I would like to thank you all for your support and encouragement. And I would also like to add, on a personal level, the people who have influenced me the most are my father, Ashraf Khalifa. And although I never met him, and my grandfather, Khalifa Mahdoub, I'm so proud and amazed by the amount of innovation and entrepreneurship that is going on in Sudan. And I'm glad gone are the good old days when I had to explain to people what I studied when I told people I studied technology entrepreneurship. I want to ask each and every one of you personally, to be honest, I'm just going to skip that one. And then in terms of, if you want to share your contact information for those interested in connecting with you. So if you want to add me on Facebook, my Facebook is A Khalifa. And then that's same as my Twitter and my Instagram as well. Yep. Okay. I know my network. I always have network issues, and it's not the strongest. So just confirm in the chat that you guys can still hear me. I would really appreciate that. So as I promised earlier, I was saying I was going to read the interview and then basically sort of give an update or a recap of sort of where I am. And it's actually quite ironic because so I actually realized I wrote the interview 5 years ago, and now it's been 5 years since the interview, but it's also been 10 years since Sudanpreneur. So since then, what have I done? So 2016, I was working actually as an intern in one of the biggest fashion houses here in the UK. It's called Hawes and Curtis. So they sell like shirts. It's mostly like a shirt tailor company. So they make shirts, and then they also make like suits and ties, waistcoats and stuff like that. And ironically enough, actually, the owner is in the name is a man named Tukur Suleiman. So he's actually but here in England, we have this show where people can go on and pitch their idea in front of the dragons. So there's like 5 different dragons, and then they, if they like your idea, they can invest in your idea. So Tukur Suleiman is actually one of the dragons on Dragon's Den, and also like this company is actually a very historic company. It was created in 1913, and it's got big links to James Bond and fashion. And basically when he bought the company, like he turned it around from a company like 50 million in debt. And it's actually ironic, he bought it for £1 and the company was 50 million in debt, and then he turned it around, and now like they've got branches all over the UK, including like Scotland, and I think they're making revenue like over 500 million, you know. So, you know, I was quite excited to have the opportunity. And then after that, what else happened to me? Then after that, I started a master's program at Middlesex University in creative technology, but I'm sort of halfway through the process because coronavirus hit and the world went mad for a minute. Another thing that happened, I became finally British, so I got my British passport. So now I'm half Sudanese, half British. I went to Sudan as well. I was there actually a couple of times since that interview. So I went in 2017. My dad wrote a book, and actually let me show you my dad's book, one sec. Yeah, so a big shout out to my dad. He wrote this amazing book, which has got, you know, a lot of pictures. You know, actually, let me show you my favorite picture. Yeah, so the book is called I'm sure you guys could read it. Okay, I'll tell you. It's called Ibni was-Sirah ma'a Saratan. So it's about my brother. He had cancer. So this is when he was sick. And then this is like when he's much better. So yeah, it's available because my dad donated the book to Ahfad University. So if you want to get the book, Ibni was-Sirah ma'a Saratan, go to Ahfad University. And then all the money raised on all the proceeds goes to Ahfad University to educating the amazing women of Sudan. And then, so I was there in 2017 for the book launch. And then the last time, Kushite Boy, not at the moment, but hopefully, inshallah, it will be soon. And then the next thing I did, I did a bunch of like Instagram lives, and I did like a business series with Maya as well. And I did a bunch of interviews with different Sudanese people. And then also the most important thing is the Global Entrepreneurship Week celebration, which is the third week in November every year. And then also we launched our newsletter. So I actually have a very important update and announcement. So before we were planning on doing the newsletter every quarter. So it comes out, 4 times a year. But we realized that... so that one is available on Amazon. Just put in Sudanpreneur Hub newsletter. But we decided to make it like biannual, so basically twice a year, inshallah. And then I have very, very exciting news to give you guys. So whoever's on the live now, you're going to be the first people to hear about it. But inshallah, on the 5th of May, so Khamsa Khamsa, in partnership with Middlesex University, we're going to do a 10-year anniversary gala and fundraiser, inshallah. And we're going to invite all of the Sudanese societies at all the universities in England. And hopefully they'll participate. They'll come down with a stall, showcase like their events, what they've done. And then we'll also have some of the students at Middlesex, taking part. Hopefully, we could do like some music, some art, some fashion, photography, and then also the Sudanese community as well. Hopefully we'll get them involved, inshallah. And it's going to be from 5 o'clock, hopefully till 10 o'clock, so it's like in the evening. And then my plan is to set up a GoFundMe page for £2,000 so we can get the night going. And then we're going to be selling 4 types of tickets. So the first ticket is going to be the gold ticket, which will be £40, which will be like 3-course meal. And then the silver will be £30, which will be 2-course meal. And then we've got the bronze, which will be £20, which will be like one course meal. And then we've got the student ticket, which will be £7, inshallah. So that's it for me. I don't know if any of you guys have any questions, or if any of you guys want to jump on the live and ask me questions in the real life. So I think the next person I'm gonna be doing my podcast on will, I got to keep it in the family. So the first person I did was my grandfather, and then the second person I did was my dad, and then now I'm the third person. So I think the fourth person I'm going to do is on my grandmother, Allah yarhamah, Fatima Abdul Karim Badri, who was a professor of statistics and mathematics and economics at University of Khartoum. So she's had quite an interesting life, and quite a big story, quite a big legacy. She's only passed away quite recently as well. This year will be the 2nd anniversary of her death. All right, I'll take it as you guys don't have any questions and no one wants to jump on the live, so I'm gonna end the live there. But I will be posting this on YouTube as well. So much love, appreciate you. Thank you very much, Sadia. Really appreciate it. And then, wallahi, alhamdulillah, welcome, alhamdulillah, as-salama. I'm glad that it's your first time. I'm hoping that you learned something, you enjoyed sort of what I had to say, you benefited from it. Adam, I love your question. So I actually grew up in 8 different countries. So I lived in Kenya, I lived in Indonesia, I lived in Chad, I lived in Denmark, I lived in London and also in Liverpool. But the impact, I don't know, I guess the impact, it's very difficult to form like strong and close relationships with people because in your mind, you're like, oh, maybe I'm going to be traveling soon, you know? And then the other part as well, like, because I've been living here with a visa, so every couple of years, you know, I have to renew my visa. And I don't know if the visa is going to get accepted or not. So I guess, like, forming long-term, strong friendships, that has a big, big impact. And then also, like, I've got friends with, like, in a sense, I make friends with everyone, but at the same time, I don't make strong friendships. And then the other thing, like, especially, like, if I go on Facebook, for example, Facebook chat or like even Instagram chat, you know, I've got people awake because all my friends, like, all my friends went to uni all over the world. So I've got someone either in Canada or in Indonesia or Malaysia. So someone's awake right now that I could be talking to. And then the other thing as well, like, I've got a big family anyway. So Sheikh Wabi Kidbidri was my mom's grandfather, and he had 4 wives, had a lot of kids. And then also from my 13 grandmothers, you know, like, they're all married into other Sudanese families. So in a sense, I'm like, I'm quite, I don't want to say I'm related to most of Sudan, but like, to be honest, like when I leave my house in Mulazmin, this is for all your Mdurmanis out there. When I go out from Mdurman, يعني من أطلع من مدرمان وأكون ماشي لحد ما أوصل للأحفاد يعني الموردة والبسطة وحي الأمراء والأربعين والستين. So literally I've got family all over there, you know. The thing I don't really have is a lot of family in Khartoum, you know, because most of our family decide, because they know Omdurman is, you know, where it's at. Like, and I've got a few family in Amarat, in Riyadh, in Al-Taif, you know, in Burri, but not really a lot of, like, compared to Omdurman. But even like around the world. So here I've got my auntie, she lives here. I've got my other auntie that lives here. I've got like maybe 7, 8 aunties that live here, and maybe 6 or 7 uncles. So, and even like around the world, you know, like, so I guess that does help, but at the same time, your view of Sudan is very limited due to family, you know. So that, I hope that sort of answers your question. And then to go to your question, Yasaria, so at the moment, I haven't done any TED Talks. What I do is like Instagram Lives and a bunch of other, like, you know, platforms. I've done interviews on different places, but I've like sort of download the videos and then I put them on my YouTube page. So if you go to Sudanpreneur Hub on YouTube, I've got more than 230 videos, and then also I've got videos of when I was in Sudan and stuff like that. Inshallah, anyone that wants to invite me to a TED Talk, you know, I'm totally down to do one of those. But big shout out to Ahfad TEDx Ahfad, because they did invite me to come down, but, you know, because obviously it's not cheap to get to Sudan, so they didn't really want to cover my travel, and I didn't really want to cover my travel for like a couple of days. But yeah, man, I'm totally down to, you know, so long as and then also I just got my British passport as well, so I'm down to go anywhere. I don't have to worry about visas. I can go to Canada, I can go to America, I can go to Dubai, I can go to, you know, Spain. So yeah, hit me up. Does anyone else have any questions? My girl. Yeah, actually, that's one thing I could really use your help with, people, which is if you guys could go to my YouTube page and subscribe, and then just watch my videos. Like, if you can keep them on a regular loop, that would be good, you know, because to be honest, the most fastest monetization is through YouTube. So once I get to like over 1,000 subscribers, and then I need to get each video over 1,000 views, and then I can start making money, and then we can all be rich together. Because don't forget, if I'm rich, you're rich. يعني نحن شنو يا جماعة جيبنا واحد ولا كيف. And then everything I do is to make Sudan better. And it's quite a shame that, like, our country is in the way that it is when we have all those resources, you know. We have the biggest natural resource, which is people, you know. Like, the amount of people that we have, the amount of gold, the amount of agriculture, the amount of sun that we have, you know. Like, there's a lot of resources, and the animals, there's so much, ya jama'a. يعني بجد But what we need to do is just thinking a bit more of a business way, Yeah, 100%, man, win-win. And then remember, guys, like charity starts at home, yeah, which is like my home, Because if I'm hungry, we're all hungry, and if you're hungry, then we're all hungry. But at the same time, like speaking of charity and stuff, and we're all doing different things, but I think we're working at cross purposes. And if we start uniting and working together, and then the other thing, I think our biggest problem is that we focus on our own, whether it's tribe or whether it's own political view or whether it's our own city, like instead of, I don't know, because obviously, like I know who I am, like I know I'm Shaili, I know I'm from Mulazmin Omdurman. So for me, my priority is not to make Mulazmin Omdurman and Shawaiga better. My priority is to make Sudan better for all Sudanese, you know what I mean? And then for me, I put my money where my mouth is, like in Sudan, I go to all the events, whether it's for Darfur, whether it's for the Nuba, whether it's for Jibal al-Nuba, whether it's for the communists, whether it's for Hizb al-Ummah, the Sudanese Jalia, whether it's the Sudanese school, whether it's the youth factor, whether it's the youth connect group, But it seems like people don't, 100%, man, mismanagement of resources. And then, there is some, like, Mdurmanis, because we know where we're from, we know who we are, we know all our neighbors, Khartoum, most people that, like, came, they don't know sort of the history of the neighborhood or the history of each other, And the sad part, I always tell people, like, الناس كلهم بيقول لي أنا مشيت لمدرمان عشان أزور خالته ولا حبوبة ولا كده. يا أخي the problem is لما الحبوبة تموت أنت تاني ما حد يجي مدرمان. I think the biggest joke is like الناس اللي بيقول لي أنا لما نمشي مدرمان بضيع. يا أخي تضيع كيف يا أخي؟ والله المفروض أنت تعرف السودان كله، تعرف مدرمان كله، بحري كله، خرطوم. المفروض نشتغل لبعض ونساعد بعض وندعم بعض. بعدين خرطوم is like very biased, like يعني بدل ما كل الحفلات وكل الشركات وكل المكاتب وكل المتاحف وكل الحاجات بس تكون في الخرطوم، يوزعوا الحاجات. لكن I don't know exactly, it's hella diverse, it's unique, like يعني أنا بجد شفت أكتر شعور لما نقطع الكوبري بتاع مدرمان القديم وقطع الكوبري من جمكورال المنتزه بتاع في المقرن، بيجيني كده إحساس راحة وسعادة. لكن I don't think الناس الخرطوم ولا الناس الخواجات have that feeling. But I don't know, I just find like when I'm in Durman, it's like the most peace I've get. But I don't mean to brag or shout, but Durman is where it's at. فأفتكر so I've got the topic in the bio. So it's part of the podcast series. So each week we talk about a different person. So this week we're talking about Ashraf Khalifa, which ironically enough is me. So just to recap, so that I don't come across as like arrogant or big-headed, I just went through like an interview that I wrote in 2016, and I just sort of read it out, and then I sort of did a recap on sort of where I have been and where Sudanpreneur has been going over the last 5-6 years since I did the interview. And then I opened the floor for some questions, and then I've just been answering some questions, and then that's sort of where we are right now. Exactly, Adam, you get to enjoy the simple things in Durman. والله بجد from الله يعني البيت المصري عمر بوش وحوش خليفة والبلدية. Man, I don't know, but to be fair, like the best thing in Durman is Ahfad and that's sort of like my mom's family's legacy to Sudan. And then the other thing is my grandfather's house in Durman is because my grandfather, he was like the police commander. So again, so like that's my legacy, like my grandfather, he built the Forosia, and well, those are like my two favorite places, even though like I don't know, like the Shawaig and the Rawatab is like a very big mix. ما أعرف أهلي لموا في بعض كيف، لكن بعدين كان ذاته خالتي آه كانت متزوجة، خالة أبوي يعني حبوبتي كانت متزوجة بابي كده بدري. Yeah, you see what I mean, yeah, Sadia? Exactly, you're from Khartoum, and you don't know much about Durman. Listen, I'm actually thinking to set up tours, you know, take people all over Durman and show them exactly what all the things are, all the different sites, all the different flavors. Like, but the thing is, you know, you like you have to be over a couple of days, you know. So you come the first day بالصباح نوريك حاجات وكده، نرجعك نهاية اليوم قبل ما الكوبري يقفل. بعدين اليوم اللي بعده، لكن I don't think it can take more than 2 days لأنه يعني بدرمان بجد بعد يومين بتكون شفت أي حاجة. So what's the most difficult thing you face as an entrepreneur? To be honest, the most difficult thing, and I think it's a Sudan thing. You know, I don't have this problem when I'm not dealing with Sudanese people, but getting paid, I think, is the hardest part. You know, like you talk about, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can make websites, I can make a, you know, like a platform, you know, showcase like your, you know, your museum, what time you open, like a bio, your telephone number. But then as soon as you be like, حتدفع عليه كم, طوالي people are not interested in that, you know, unless it comes to حفلة وفنان, you know. Other than that, صعب شديد عشان تطلع قروش. Another thing that is difficult, I guess, is trying to explain what I'm trying to do, because like when I showcase like the Instagram page or the website, like people don't really understand what I'm trying to do. And then especially in Sudan, like because people in Sudan, they don't really use the internet, like because there's no, you know, economic sanctions, there's no Google, there's no Visa, MasterCard. So the internet is pointless in Sudan. And outside of Sudan, you can check what time a place opens, it closes. You could like book something. You can make a reservation. You can do a lot of things, you know. We got a request for someone to join. My battery's
Yo,
Salam alaikum.
yo, alaikum assalam. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Let me just plug my phone in the charger.
Yeah,
So,
do your thing.
right. Okay. So I'll hold the phone in my hand. It's not gonna be. Put your camera on.
Now, wallahi, I'm about to sleep in it.
No worries. No worries.
Allah,
What's going on? What's a bit about
I live in Money. 0161, you get me?
Manchester? One.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. What you saying, though?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I'm blessed. I have my sister. She's
Is she? Yeah, there's Bear
she's
Sudanese in
in
Manchester. There's Bear Sudanese in Manchester.
the outskirts, Rochdale side.
I can't hear you clearly, bro.
Adam, can you hear me? Yeah, I heard.
I can't.
Yeah. Listen, ago. a big part of a project that I'm working on, a record label here in the UK. And team, thanks for reminding me, Man United for winning the. Well, to be honest, I have to call it the Mickey Mouse Cup, aka the Carling Cup, on Sunday, and also for beating Barcelona as well, knocking them out. But I'm gonna we'll arrange it so that I'm in a bit. We can do an interview, inshallah, Adam. All right, everyone. I'm gonna end the live here. Thank you very much, everyone, and appreciate you guys very much.